Hello. I've almost set up the thing, but I've also not. Welcome to Housekeep-a-thon, where we fix our living space, even though it feels horrible to do that with an autistic brain. But it's better now. So remember, I think we can't do procedural planning and sequencing, and therefore things that people would typically call planning or prioritizing, or if you will, because I think this should have a name, prioritizing, prioria, dysprioria is the inability to make a priority occur, because that is not, we are marooned in a different part of our brain and have never been to that island, or if we do, it is full of electric shocks and we have to run away back to our safety, which is episodic memory and declarative memory. This is my current hypothesis. My hypothesis is that we make hypotheses, and that's how we get, so it's called bookends. Book is your declarative memory in the semantic memory area. That's like data. Kind of system too, because one data point can become many data points, right? Into one metadata point of what the system is, right? Yeah, we're good at that. And the last step, the book ends, these are in the same brain region, is declarative memory in the form of episodic memory or imagination. So future episodic memory, or just, thinking about stuff that could happen, like world building and all of this. Yes, just daydreaming. We're good at that. Okay, so ends. So think about your goal right now. Think about your big goal. I used to think that this wouldn't work for us, and now I have thought differently. My current hypothesis, think of your big goal, right? Now, do not plan any steps to get there. What we're going to do instead is familiarize ourselves with the system. We're going to learn. We're just going to learn while knowing that our goal is something. So if your goal is for your house to look a certain type of way, think about it right now. Imagine that it does. And then you can, if you'd like, contrast what it currently looks like with that briefly and be like, it is not there. It is not there now. I have observed. No. Okay, so do that. We'll do that a couple times probably throughout the course of the stream. And then we just like walk around moving things until it looks like that. And our only reference point is what it looks like now and what do we want it to look like. And we don't do any planning whatsoever. That's what I think it is. Because if we start planning, our brain will hurt and it will be bad and everything will fry out and then we'll need to take a nap. So, because we can't go to that other thing. We're marooned, right? We can't go to that other brain region that handles the sequence crap. Screw that. So we just won't try. Because if we try, we'll fail and it'll hurt and it'll be bad. So this is my current hypothesis. It can get refined, but I'm describing regions of our brain and how they act. So if it's not a perfect metaphor, who cares? Because I'm describing what our brain is doing. The goal is to act in accordance to what our brain be doing, not to have a beautiful metaphor off the gate out, screw that. That doesn't matter that much. It would be nice to have a really phenomenal metaphor to work with, and we'll get there probably, maybe. But for now, you get the gist. Yeah, because I've described enough data that you can be like, okay, I can see that if I keep looking for, we don't really do gist. If I keep looking for data, it'll probably fill in okay. So I'm like, yeah, it seems probable that I could find data to support that hypothesis at this time. The preponderance of the evidence suggests that data is also there. So I will accept this premise for the time being and work with it. And just thinking about the goal will automatically end up thinking about systems to make reaching the goal more easily somehow without planning right. Yes. In fact, if you're not making it to the ends, go back to the book. We just bounce between bookends. We just go book ends. So you just need to learn more. You need to learn more about the system. Yeah. Because we have nowhere else to go. If we think about the goal, we'll end up at the system, then we'll end up at the goal, and then we'll end up at the system. And we should spend, way more time over in the book part because we love it there. If we get tired and we're doing too much learning, we can take a nap. Again, naps are good. But yeah, we're just in learning mode a lot. And that's cool because we've been in learning mode a lot. So we already probably did a lot of the learning that we need to do. We just haven't utilized it because everyone told us to start planning now. Oh, you did some learning? Start planning. Start using the region of your brain that you've never really successfully ever spent any time in. It's like, what? And I think effectively that's what's happened to us over and over and over in our lives until it started to feel like hell, which wasn't good, which I would venture is bad. All right, let me get my headset. I would even say strong words here. It's beyond suboptimal. Okay. Is it on? Okay. I switch over now. Test. Okay. I should be... Is this too loud? No, this should not be too loud. Okay. And now I can go like this. Huh? Poop. There we go. Okay. So that all should be good. Great. Phenomenal. Yay. Oh wow, 3 hours in? That's amazing. Do we want music? Do we want some like music stuff things? We can do that. Up to you, really. Okay, music it is. I will do that. Okay, let's do... Oops, that's wrong. Let's see, what do we got here? Optimistic jazz. I could go for some optimistic jazz. Oh wow, I do feel optimistic. Everything will be fine. Oh, is it playing? Hold on. Oh, I think I need to change this. I don't know how. Oh, it's not. It's on the wrong thing. Here we go. Ready? Whoa, that's very loud. Too optimistic. Okay. Sorry. Sorry for blasting you with optimism. There you go. Too optimistic. That hurt everybody's ears. With optimism. Yeah, I'm sorry. Your hearing will fail just a little bit sooner because of that. Anyways. Yeah, so just think about your end and then go back to book and then think about your end and that's it. That's all we do. We don't go to that other place. The other place tried to kill us. It just breaks our brains and is no good. Even though I fully accept that typical developing brains, it's very important and very automatic for them to go there, and they super care about us, and that's why they kept telling us to go to the place that tried to kill us. I accept their gift in the spirit that it was offered and not in the actuality of what it was. Because for them it's great. Like, I totally see that it's super great. Look at how many jobs they can have and not get fired. Wow. That's nifty. However, it's never gonna work. I love them still. And if they know that like that was a really considerate gift for someone else, they'll know that they can stop offering it. Please. We're gonna have at least Rowan's popping through. We'll see who else wants to pop through. And yeah, just think about your ends. Don't try to plan. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know the typically developing are like insistent that that is the only way that anything can happen. because it is for them, and I fully believe them. And once again, I respect the results that they get from their brain being able to do that. That's cool. However, they have not considered that it's possible for a brain to just not have that for a variety of like very real material reality reasons. I get it. That's confusing. I have sympathy and empathy and compassion for all of that. However, that cut off. I was saying, don't get your knickers in a twist. Typically developing people. Now that we've attended to your emotional state, you are wrong. Brace yourself. However you feel when somebody tells you, you tried to help me, but you ended up making it worse. That might feel bad, I would assume. Probably I've done that. But that's what we gotta say to them is like, stop. You're not helping. I love you for trying to help me. You are making it worse. I'm not mad at you for making it worse, because I can fully understand how that happened. It makes a lot of sense, actually. In fact, you were definitely trying to make it better, and you tried harder and harder in the wrong direction until my life was a screaming ball of pain. But that's not your fault. You thought, I need to harder do the thing. I need to try harder to do the thing that is actually causing this person's life to feel like a personal hell. But, because you're like, I don't want you to be in personal hell. I'm like, the intention is what I'm going to focus on there. I know what you meant to do, okay? Hello.
Hello.
Welcome in. I'm going to ask people to tell me about levels, because usually they're way off. Talk a little bit.
I'm talking a little bit.
Okay,
talking
test.
with my words, using my mouth to make sounds.
Alright, I put them at 80. If 80 is bad, let me know, folks. Levels seem okay? Oh, well maybe I didn't need to do that. I don't know. Did I not need to do that? Wait, talk a little bit again.
Okay. I am starting with putting away clean laundry.
Hell yeah. Oh, I guess you could be a louder.
Yeah, I ran out of laundry this week and was talking to Aiden, and they were like, okay, well, let's do laundry together. Because you need clothes. So I actually got some laundry done. Which is good, because it was piling up.
I think 90 is correct. Okay, alright. Yay, good job though.
Yeah.
That's really good too, because you were going through... Oh, hey, folks on the spectrum, have you noticed that the time zone change is actually very, very bad for us? I didn't notice until I had friends who were also imploding, and now I'm like, wait a second.
Wait, I think this is a thing.
Yeah. And what really did it for me is that we're all mystified by it. Like, why am I sleeping? Man, I can't get up. I'm a jerk. That's why I can't get up.
Do you mean daylight saving?
Yes.
Yes.
You said time zone change.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Makes about as much sense.
Yep. Oh.
Support, have you been sleeping oddly? Support?
I was away from headphones.
Hello. Have you been sleeping oddly?
I mean, yes, but when was it supposed to have started?
A week ago.
Last Saturday.
I don't know. I feel like I've been sleeping oddly for a longer time. Perhaps.
Right. You may have less anchors currently for it to hit. Yeah. You know what I think our lives... Did anyone play Battleship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like our lives are basically that. Like we're like, man, you sunk my battleship. Where did you even come from? And if we have more ships, like we have more things going on in life, it's more possible for our battleship to get sunk, and we still really don't know how it happened.
Okay, that's not a very good metaphor because you know where
Well, you do
the
know, yeah.
attacks are coming from. And
That's true. That's true. Fair enough. But
Yeah, like when you brought up Battleship, that metaphor did not go in the direction
fell
I was
apart.
expecting.
yeah, well, what I'm trying to say is that the more ships we have, this is the part that I wanted. The more ships we have, the more easy it is for us to implode, and the whole
Right.
game is over if we lose one battleship.
Yeah, it's more like juggling eggs.
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
Juggling eggs. Ooh, yeah. And one of them is randomly hard boiled, and it's not that big a deal if we drop it, but we don't know which one that is.
That also works really well, 'cause sometimes when we're juggling one egg, it's also still pretty precarious.
Yeah.
It's just when we add more eggs, it's that much more precarious.
Yes. Juggling
In fact,
eggs.
you could say that life in general is like juggling eggs, but life as an autistic person is that you're juggling eggs blindfolded and you don't know what species the eggs are for. And some of them are hard boiled, and some of them are soft boiled, and some of them are very old.
Yeah, and they'll smell real bad. Yep, that's about right.
Yeah, and they'll be more brittle. And stuff.
Yes.
And every so often, somebody comes
They
along
change.
and throws an ostrich egg into the
Right.
mix.
They just
Oh!
change
You're just
their
like, whoa, this is way too big. I don't know what to do with this.
And
Right.
occasionally,
And sometimes they think they're helping, so they come in and they take away your favorite ostrich egg and give you a chicken egg, and then you smash everything.
And
yes.
you're like, wait, no, I just got used to the ostrich egg.
Yeah.
Also, people are like, you seem to be juggling a lot of eggs. Are you good at this? Can you juggle my eggs too?
Right.
And you're like, what? No.
I don't know how to make this stop.
You're like, wow, you're an amazing egg juggler. I'm just gonna put my egg into your basket here
Yes.
without asking permission and walk away.
And walk away. You seem to be so focused on juggling eggs. You
Right.
must love
and,
this.
and then they come back and you drop their egg and it's broken and they yell at you.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
And it's all your fault. And you're like,
Right.
I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, because you promised them somehow by you juggling eggs that you could also juggle their egg, because they that's what they were able to predict about such a person who would juggle so many
this-
eggs unless if they were brilliant at it.
This metaphor is great.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm glad I gave a bad one so this one would happen instead.
There's a certain kind of dissonance that I'm experiencing right now in like doing space management stuff, because like I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. But like also I'm kind of excited to do it because I've missed Housekeep-a-thon 3 weeks in a row, and my space is a disaster.
So you're very excited to have it done.
Yes.
I think once I've I was talking to shit, like Kyle, and he was saying how y'all like Factorium, and Carl's like, well, isn't there planning there? I was like, no, they learn the whole system, and the ends is win the game. And
especially if you watched us play, you would know how much there's not planning.
Yeah.
It's extremely iterative.
Yeah.
I have like probably 6 or 7 save files in Factorio.
Yeah.
Because I do it and then I'm like, all right, I've kind of hit like a breaking point where like I can't work with this setup anymore because it's so disorganized.
Yeah, it's so
I know what I learned this time. Let's do it again. And that just happens over and over until I've like learned how to do a bunch of different things really, really efficiently.
Right.
And then like I get to the end game.
Yeah. To the point, it's quite clear that we're actually making up for being unable to plan.
Right.
Yep.
And that's so what you need to know is that's a different brain region. So book and ends is the same brain region. So you don't have to change where you're firing at all. in order to do that. So when you think about the end goal and when you think about all the details, all the data points that become the semantic reality, which you can then collapse and kind of like zip and compress into a meta one as well, right? That's like just a data point that you haven't zoomed in on. Okay, so you can do all that in the same brain region. So we don't have to switch over to anywhere else in order to think this way. I once again, I fully accept that it's useful to be able to switch over to sequencing. I agree that that's helpful, but sometimes autistic people also stay in this brain region and don't do much sequencing. We just can't. We've just been, like I was saying, we've been marooned here our whole lives, because if we try, I think we can try to go over to sequencing, but I think then there's interference and it just feels like getting zapped, and then it hurts and is bad, and we have to, freak out. Or it's possible we can't go over there at all, but I think probably we can try to go over there, and that's why it's so painful and horrible.
I think this is why I have like such a hard time filling out forms on my own. But if I can have somebody like standing over my shoulder, either literally or sort of figuratively, like telling me what I need to put there, I can just do it. Like, I know what's supposed to go there, but like my brain can't construct the sequence of like how the information should follow.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like every time I've ever made a resume, anytime I've ever filled out any sort of clerical forms, I just stare at it and like I don't know what to do. But once somebody is sort of helping me, like, okay, now this, okay, now this, I can just do it, because I know once I'm there, I know what's supposed to be there. Right. But like getting there is just not feasible.
Right. And when I get clerical forms, I try to read over them so I know what I'm going to have to fill out. But then it just causes me to be overwhelmed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But when I think overwhelmed isn't really descriptive of what's happening. What's happening is I'm trying to build up a sequence in my mind of how this will go, and my mind is disabled at that.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so our book part could tell us that that's what we're supposed to be able to do, because people have been describing a system to us.
Right.
So we're not unable to understand what they think is supposed to happen. It's just that we can't do it, and they don't have a model that includes that possibility. That's outside of their imagination. So then we spent all this time kind of like living in a liminal space, and this is the first time ever that we could possibly say to people, well, actually, what you're doing is impossible for some brain, similar to like, ask a blind person who's never had sight what it looks like to see red or blue. You can't do it.
And in some ways, some of us make things worse for ourselves by putting so much time and effort into researching the way that people without a disability go about fixing these problems, right? All that self-help work. We fill our minds with expectations of how we should be able to improve the system that specifically make it harder for us.
Right. And depending on your life experience, that can, if you don't have a lot of contrary evidence, that can lead you to thinking you're stupid. Like, I would say if it wasn't for going to ballet later in life, I probably would have assumed that I'm stupid, because that's when the sequencing learning wasn't happening at all. And I'm like, well, I know I'm not stupid, so that's not the explanation, but I don't have an explanation. And if you don't have one, and like you're only, I guess the leading conclusion is maybe I'm stupid, like you will avoid it if you can, but sometimes people will just ingrain that in you. You must be stupid.
Yeah.
I was
gonna say, it was ingrained in me both that I'm smart and stupid, and so what I ended up feeling like was that I'm broken.
Right. I had talked to Jane about this a few weeks ago, about how like growing up, I spent a lot of time, like, I knew I wasn't stupid, Like, I had enough evidence throughout my life to indicate, like, I'm not stupid. I can understand things. I can learn and make sense of the world. But just like the way that people treated me and the way I felt around other people kind of led to this, I guess, weird complex where I would often ask myself, like, and excuse my use of the word here, but I do think it's appropriate. I would, like, genuinely, I was like, am I retarded? And just like, I'm the only one that doesn't get it, and that, like, everyone around me understands that I am, and, like, it doesn't mean I'm stupid, but that means there's something deeply wrong with me that, like, everyone else sees,
Right.
and I don't. Like,
And
why is this my life? Why is everything like this all the time?
I was especially skilled at picking up definitions for things through environmental use, right? And so I learned that being smart wasn't about being smart as we use it generally as a word, right? It was about being able to do the thing you're supposed to do. And so then, even though they would call me smart when it comes to answering questions in class, I was actually quite stupid because I wasn't able to do all the other things I was supposed to do. I couldn't do my homework, right? I couldn't do X or Y. I couldn't get good grades overall, even though I could ace tests without studying.
Right. Yeah. I had and this is where it gets, like, weird because of how we socialize and treat children. But, like, so I had this thing where it's like, my self-image was, I'm a serious person, and I had a lot of feedback about how, deep I was, etc. and so forth. But then most of the time people treated me like I was a manic pixie dream girl, like a ditz. But I was like, but I'm not a ditz. So then, but there was no archetype, there was no nutty professor, there was no Einstein for me to be, right? Like, that wasn't a thing. So then I got treated as two very different people, and overwhelmingly I got treated as the ditz. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, socially I don't fit in anywhere, and when I try, people treat me like I'm naive. And I'm like, okay. And I could even sort of see it because of the social issues being so confusing. But that just made me not want to hang out with people, because I'm like, well, I don't want to think of myself that way.
Right. And, like, this is instructive of the fact that we are, like, human beings are tribal. That's how we evolved, was to be in tribes, in smaller groups. I guess troops would be the more accurate term, as apes. And, they've done studies that say we can model about 150 people. And so when people model other people that aren't their family, they model based on stereotypes, right? On these constructed ideas of what a person can be, because it just doesn't work in our heads to model everyone as individuals. It's too intensive. It burns too many calories. It's too hard. And that's goes back to, like, the conversations we've been having for a year at least about social media, and the way people are treated there is that no one has their brains just don't want to model everyone as individuals, so they find the closest archetype they know about and they stick the person there,
right?
And they do it as quickly as possible
which can be a really big problem when, in our current era, we care deeply about how people are physically attractive or not, because we're all basically models for products at this point. If you have a big enough following and you're a cutie pie, you are now a brand ambassador. So, like, even what's gross about this is, like, if people find you physically attractive, they're going to assume that you're more of a ditz, no matter what you look like. If you're their type, guess what? You're an idiot, because that's what attractive people are when they're a spokesperson. They're just a mindless, paid agent to sell you some shit. You don't trust that person.
What were we talking about before we were talking about how we got treated as stupid?
Unsure.
Okay.
I lost the plot.
Generally, we were talking about this idea. I mean, well, in general, I'm going to keep referencing this idea that we can't go over to sequential learning and
right.
yeah, that stuff. Or procedural sort of stuff that would put things in a series, a serial sort of pattern, and then use that to infer our priorities. Like, I do this now, and what I did, a minute ago, we can't keep track of any of that. Just don't even go there. Or if we do try to go there, which is possible that we do try, it misfires out. And my current thinking is that if we get that misfire, and this is visual spatial reasoning as well, if we get that misfire, what our brain interprets that as is something bad just happened in the environment, even though it looks the same, which is a big old danger, and that's going to make us try to find out why the environment is different, and now we're completely disoriented.
Right. And I wasn't going to come into HCAT today because I'm currently dog sitting for my mom. And when anything is different than how it usually is, I kind of go into standby mode until that's done happening.
Right.
Right. I understand this.
Oh, awesome, Waba, by the way. Wait, is somebody on mute?
Wait, is somebody on mute?
Sometimes I pop myself on mute just so that you don't hear bags. Let me... Oh, yeah, no, that's what it is. I finished my sentence, but I flipped my mic up too quickly. Merlin. Let me get caught up in chat really fast. That's very sensitive. Was I an advanced autistic? My models of other people were to take copious mental notes about the words they said and try to repeat those words back in other social situations to make friends. So the words that they said are actually going to be semantic information. So that's data. So words for us is semantic information, and that's kind of, I need to look more into this, but that's our hyperlexia. So it's like we're actually creating very specific landmarks of what everything means, and the definitions are incredibly important to us because this is how we're navigating, similar to somebody navigating through the city by knowing every single bus route. Like, this is how we get from point A to point B, because we can't infer stuff from the visual spatial stuff, which is also the social skills, which is also this other region of the brain that all of the serial learning happens in. So okay, let's see here. This obviously didn't work out because I didn't fundamentally understand the proper time. Yes, exactly, because you can't do the stuff in the middle. Place for those sentences, phrases, etc. that I memorized and attempt to make friends. Yeah. So you try to impose some sort of like meta learning into something that doesn't rely on that part of your brain. It relies on this other region, a completely different region of your brain where serial learning is happening, is basically my hypothesis. How are you doing? Good. Well, how am I? I hate that question. Can you rephrase that in a way that I can answer yes or no? My report for the Housekeep-a-thon is on Saturday. Me and Jen, ex-housemate we're friends with, helped me clean out the front room and hallways. So it's so clear now. That's awesome. I'm glad you found somebody that can like do that with you. This is good.
Jane, are you feeling terrible today?
No, I am not, which is great.
Are you feeling productive today?
I have given up on productivity, so no.
All right, let me find a better way to phrase that to get the kind of answer I'm receiving, or that I want to receive. So that's not an answer.
In this moment, the closest I can translate the question, how are you, is to saying, are you feeling terrible?
I like that one. Yeah.
Like, that would be my best guess at what most people probably mean when they say, how are you? I'm pretty sure it's not correct.
Can you name emotions that you have been feeling throughout the day? No. However,
I would
go ahead.
I would say that is not correct, because that immediately leads, like it opens a door to lead in a direction of like a complex discussion, because if you say yes, then it puts it back.
That's the best way to translate it into a real question. But what it probably is shaving a haircut.
Is. Yeah.
See,
so I would say, are you feeling all right? Right?
Yes.
Because like, if you're not feeling all right, that's not terrible, right? Like, all right, you got some stuff going on. I get it. Or you're feeling all right, and the conversation terminates.
Right, and you can translate that into things that are sensible. Like, are you feeling all right? Basically, I can get, okay, you're asking me, like, is there an emergency right now or not? And I'm like, okay, no, there's not an emergency, then I'm pretty much all right. And also,
Yeah.
Waba, may I disabuse you of wanting to ever ask that question again? Do you know why we asked that? So, how are you doing is an imitation of early British, like, not even just royalty, but well-to-do capitalists. So like the upper
How
crust.
do you do?
Yeah, they asked each other, how do you make your fortune and prosper? So that's the full sentence, is how do you make your fortune and prosper, which in their little, code word thing. These are, again, the like great-great-grandparents of the people who are still running the world. They would say, how do you do? And then the correct response is, how do you do? Because if you answered it like, how do you make your fortune and prosper, and you're not making fortune and prospering, then you would be socially outcast in this group of proto-capitalist ass nuggets, right? So then you would just respond. So if you look in old movies and stuff and you have the people going, how do you do? How do you do? They're basically saying, well, of course I'm prospering and making my fortune. So every time you ask that is actually a reflection of white people who created the capitalist system in Europe to have code words for each other to identify their class and be snobs. That's not a meme. It's real. 100%. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's
not a meme.
historically accurate.
So what I would do to get to once furthermore disabuse yourself, you can have like an angel or a devil on your shoulder. So what you're going to do is put a little guy with a top hat and a monocle. And whenever somebody asks, like, how are you doing? Or you ask, how are you doing? He goes, how do you do?
How do you do?
Who's going to know that? Everyone, if we tell them. Look at how many other things people are being like, maybe I shouldn't do that. I won't even begin to list all the things that we've realized we shouldn't be saying because we shouldn't be saying them.
Right, there's other things that we shouldn't be saying, and whenever someone says them, everyone around them corrects them immediately.
Right.
Yeah, I just used a word in a context that was perfectly admissible, but I still preempted it with like, I apologize for using this word because I understand that there could be people in the audience that specifically take issue with that word because it can trigger, negative experiences that they've had throughout their lives. We've all agreed like, oh, that's not a thing that people should say.
Yeah, I would start off with like, how are you feeling today is better. I think a yes/no question is generally going to be superior because, again, like how are you doing or how are you is not a complete sentence. And if you know that what they were asking is like, how do you make your fortune and prosper? That's not a yes/no question. They were asking you to basically like reveal if you were and how you were succeeding as somebody that was taking advantage of other people. So that's like an incomplete sentence, right? So since now we know that the reference point was that sentence, we now know that we aren't finishing a sentence either. And they were being sly about it. We're just being accidental. So if you have a yes/no question, that's going to be better because now you have a direction that your sentence actually points to. Definitively.
I don't mind how are you feeling if I, one, have the sort of bandwidth to appropriately field that question, and two, the person asking it is prepared to receive the appropriate response, which is, I'm about to tell you all of the primary emotions that I'm experiencing at this time, and the things that are like creating those emotions or exacerbating them. Right? Like, I don't mind that question if it's being genuinely asked. Like, how are you feeling?
I have
not only what are you feeling, but how is it occurring? right? Like,
Yeah, I have issues with that one because a lot of my feelings, because you have to know that feelings are a step past mood, and mood includes interoceptive information, and I feel a lot of things in my body. So like if you ask me like how am I feeling, the strongest feeling I have is my intestines feel kind of gross, and like, I've had like would you like to hear about my bowel movements? Probably not.
Right. And if you ask me how am I doing, my answer is like I'm not like blank, I guess is my answer.
Mhm.
I just generally I'm not aware of my feelings almost ever.
Mhm.
Or typically, I guess is the better way to say that. I'm typically completely unaware of what my mood is and things like that. So there's a lot of reasons it's not a great question.
I do accept that this is like colloquially workable. I'm not saying that it's not. I just
Mhm.
think that if you want to ballpark how people are like feeling, or like basically like how should you be responding to this person versus the last time you asked them, like you're trying to get some sort of information about how you're going to interact with this person, then the more specific you can be, the more
Mhm.
over time you'll have a model of the person, right? If you ask a similar sort of question and now you can see, well, this is actually radically different than last time, the only way you can do that is if you ask a specific question.
it
And
also
we don't do zeitgeist or gist,
like
by the way, as autistics.
it also makes you like forces you to think about why you're asking the question,
Mhm.
right? Like questions like how are you feeling, or even something like what's up is like, and like what's up's fine, right? What's up can be a stand-in for just like I am acknowledging your presence, what do you need? And like I can do some of those colloquialisms just fine, but those kinds of phrases like how are you doing, how are you feeling, like those kinds of things, they're not actually questions. They are like socially expected small talk, right? It is, and I think we've touched on this before, at least me and you, Jane. It might have been a group conversation, but that like it's basically a check-in to be like, are you someone that is kind and trustworthy? Like, are you capable of doing the thing that everybody does to indicate whether or not you're like a kind and personable person that I can trust to have an interaction with? So not that nobody has ever asked those questions with a genuine interest in like how somebody is doing.
Right, but
broadly,
because that's the general use of those questions. If you want to actually ask those questions, you're better off rephrasing them completely into a way that's
exactly
not going to identify that way. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you sort of resolve not to ask those specific questions, you start to actually think about why you're asking a question in the first place. Like, why do you want to know about this person's emotional state? Do you have something that you want to do with them? Do you have something you need from them? And you're checking in on their affect and their general like affective state, to make sure that they're in a place where you could even ask a favor from them. Like it just it changes the context and like why you might ask a question at all.
I'm in a improv class where I really like what the improv teacher asks us at the beginning. First, they say give a number for how you are right now, and they say it differently, which I also appreciate. But they're basically like if you had to rank your emotional state with a number, what would you do at this precise moment? And sometimes they'll even be like, he said, oh, like overall today has actually been more like a 5, but right now I feel like a 9. Like being here feels like a 9. Like, so that was interesting. But the other thing that they also tag on is like, are your accessibility needs met? And
I
I'm
like
like,
that.
yeah, right? I was like, whoa. And they ask every single class.
Well, and like when I hear that, one of the first things that comes to mind for me is what is the expected scale, right? Because like when I hear that kind of question, I'm like, all right, well, like the ideal answer is like a 5 or a 6,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because especially if we're going based on the way that we normally talk about this kind of stuff, which is like within the context of like affect, you don't want to be, you know, tippity top of the top right quadrant, right? That is mania, that's euphoria, that's you're on drugs, you're, you know, there you are experiencing a heightened state of emotion that cannot be maintained, and if it is being sustained, you should be worried, right? So like when I hear those kinds of questions, I do get concerned because it's like, are they expecting me to give like an 8, 9, or a 10 to indicate that I'm like in a positive mood? Or can I say like a 5 or a 6 because I'm feeling content? And to me, that's like the ideal resting state.
I don't understand. So in terms of like literalism, so first of all, I heard the greatest thing lately where somebody says, I don't take things literally. That's kleptomania.
That's
Right?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds like Mitch Hedberg. That's great.
Right?
Yeah, it
Right? Yeah. I wonder, okay, I was like, I wonder if they were on the spectrum. Okay, so probably. Okay, so taking things literally is really just like saying, I need to know exactly what you're talking about so that I can create a clear model in my head, because I can't do this like social gist thing is what I'm saying. Like if you have social pragmatic learning, you understand that we're talking about something with different words all the time. Like you're doing innuendo very successfully, or you're doing subtext. I can't really do that. I can understand it as a thing people do, but I can't really do it. So if you say like,
Mhm.
how are you doing? Doing what? How's it going? Going where? Like what am I doing? Am I doing life? Like how am I doing life? I don't know. Like I'm scared. Like,
Yeah, well, and I guess at some point, certainly in time that I cannot identify, like I can't pinpoint it, but at some point I do think I made like a linguistic swap with the question, how are you doing? Where the word doing is like a stand-in for the word like homeostasis. So basically like how is your homeostatic position, right? Like doing is existing.
how are you
So
coping? And then see, but
how are
then
you existing?
yeah,
Right?
but that
Like
could
how,
be like,
like
I'm coping well, or I'm existing in a way that's working successfully, or you could answer literally how you're doing it, where then you're like,
sure.
you know what I mean? So it's like, so you have two possible interpretations at a minimum of like, how is whatever you're doing succeeding or not, and in what fashion is it succeeding, and then specifically what are all the steps that you're or what are all, not even steps for us I guess, but like what is the methodology behind the thing that you've done to respond to your stress, or respond to, like, it becomes really complicated. So it's not like that they want an honest answer, it's just that they're asking a question that if I really were to answer it, there's no way to keep it short.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that was what I was kind of saying about the question, how are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like occasionally I don't mind that question if it's like, if you're prepared for the essay I'm about to give you about like all of the things that are affecting me right now.
How are you feeling with my sensory organs?
Yes, exactly, exactly. And then I'd have to say, like, how are you feeling with my sensory organs? And also, my intestines give me way too much feedback. Would you like to hear about that? Because that's the loudest stuff a lot of the time for me.
Yeah. I also, of course, like have spent a lot of time in customer service, and actually within the context of like the sort of like declarative memory, like sort of iterative stuff that we've been talking about, it makes sense to me that I eventually became, I don't know, detached enough from the sort of nonsensical nature of these questions that I was able to just engage with them. Because in a customer service environment, you yourself are asking this question and having it asked at you dozens, if not hundreds of times a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously, like, I mean, I think even from like the autistic perspective, like, it's pretty obvious that like you're not supposed to answer sort of genuinely. You're you're in a business trying to take someone's money. You're not here to have a 45-minute conversation about your emotions. So it just, I would almost even say, like, like I said, in light of what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, that like it was just iterative, that I just did it enough times that I was like, oh yeah, the answer to how are you doing is okay or all right, because that terminates the conversation.
Right.
And then I can move away from it. I just say, I'm all right, and then it's over. It's done. I don't have to engage with it anymore.
Yeah, and then so like for WABA, like, so what we usually translate it to, if we want to get down to mood, it's like affect. You're not going to get a good answer on sensory amplitude because that's just like really difficult, especially somebody's different. So all of our emotions are going to be warped from the regular model of them if you have sensory processing differences anyway. So like your happy probably looks nothing like the conventional idea of happiness, which is just a concept anyway. It's not even a state we all share. But what you think happiness is supposed to be is going to be weird if you have sensory processing disorder, because mood is sensory amplitude plus arousal, like alertness basically, plus valence, which is like how pleasant or unpleasant you feel basically. So if you're asking me about my affect, it's like, well, how alert are you? Are you learning currently, or are you resting, right? Or how positive or negative you're feeling, how yay or boo. And then you get into 4 basic quadrants, one of which is moving into like mania and grandiosity, one of which is moving into depression and the inability to move, and then you're getting the other vectors. So you have like 4 of these planes. So if you just tilt and go on the other diagonal, then you're going to have anger, fear, like emergency stuff like that, where you feel really bad and you need to do something, you need to learn, you need to correct and save your life, or you're calm and you're safe. So you have danger, safety, mania, depression. So which am I closest to? Probably safety. And that's useful, right? Like that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to ask like of the not so great ones, which is the other 3 kind of, which one have I been closest to lately? Probably the threat danger one, honestly. A little bit of the depression here and there, but a little bit too much of the threat danger. But clearly I've been resolving some of that because I've moved over to that bottom right quadrant, which is safety. I'm closer to that. And if you ask me why, I could be like, well, I'm talking to people about these theories I've been working on, and the people that I'm talking to care about me and care about what I'm saying, and it makes me feel like, I'm contributing to my little troop successfully, and I'm a social animal.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was more informative than most of the things I could have said.
Yeah. Also, Jane, earlier today, I was thinking that meeting you was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me, because we're very unlikely to have met, but also you provide me with so much new information and models, especially in the past week. It's been just the best.
Thank you. That makes me very happy. And I got away from a place that was getting in the way of me being able to do that. And now I feel like that was an even better decision because I care about you. And this feedback means a lot to me because then I'm doing something for the people that I think are important. Which is you.
Like, just what you've done for me in the past week. It's probably improved my life forever, right?
Yay!
Yeah.
Woohoo! Thank you for that feedback. I will continue to figure this out. It is very helpful whenever I get overwhelmed just to think ends. I was like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, what do I want to have happen again? The very end. None of the making steps to get there, because people just told me that that's the only way I could get to my end, or I wasn't even allowed to think about the end until I had planned it out. I'm like, bullshit. Understandable bullshit, because that's how their brains work, or usually work. But not true. No. Where do I put eye drops? I don't have a place for that. Or, I can live in here. Also, why I would suggest people consider switching to my radical model is because clearly people have well-intentionally meant to fix the old models, but they didn't. So you might as well take that energy and put it towards something that might work. And my stuff is based off of neuroscience. Their stuff is not. Even if mine is based shittily off neuroscience because I'm autodidactically trained feral intellectual, still, my shit, at least I tried. Their shit, they didn't try to do that. So then everyone will be happier because they clearly want to be nicer and do a good thing. They want to do a good. But so far they haven't done anything very different because they are still working with the same metaphors. Oh, I heard a doggo.
Yeah.
Hi, doggo.
Okay. I'm gonna step out.
Perfect.
Okay.
About this dog.
Doggo care time. That's nice.
Yeah. I feel like, without actually knowing him at all, I feel like Finny and Merlin would be good friends.
I think so too. I think they'd be planning a heist within a few hours.
They would, yes. That is very much a thing that they would do.
The only question is who would be the ringleader.
I mean, definitely Merlin.
You think so? I don't know. Because is Finny older?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
But Merlin
might
is
defer.
so, I don't know. Merlin just has this sort of confident authority kind of thing going on.
True.
You've seen him go after a skateboard.
Yeah, that skateboard.
You've seen him go after bigger dogs.
Oh boy. Unfortunately, I have.
He's like, I can do it!
Let me tell him what I think. I'm like, please don't. Stop thinking. You know what I would almost translate, how are you doing? Even a customer service thing is today a special day? And if you're a good customer service rep, you make it sound like today might be a special day, because maybe it's their special day.
I mean, it's not the worst thing to do.
Yeah. Or like if you like answer it with that energy, like just translate it and then answer as if you're saying that, I think that would give the desired effect. You know? Like, how are you doing? Oh man, I'm doing great. How are you? And then they'll be
Which,
like,
like,
maybe I'm great. Maybe I'm great.
Yeah. I mean, like, as I got further into my customer service career, like, that is the proper response.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yep.
if you want to be like within the context of work, if you want to be a good customer service representative, that's how you
Yeah.
respond.
And then they
You
go
just maintain that cheery disposition all day long of just
And-
like, I'm great, how are you?
and they'll go like, people don't normally answer that, and then they'll be like, man, they also do statistical learning, right? So they'll be like, wow, that really doesn't happen a lot. Maybe it happened for a really good reason. And then like a musical number starts. It goes, maybe this is the best day we've ever had. Like, you know, like, and that's what you're doing for them, is giving them a maybe this is the best day ever. Because they don't know. Like, they don't hear that a lot. So then they're like, yay, it's possible.
Right.
Maybe this time. You know, that's what's happening, I think.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. That's what I think is happening. Anyways, so, you know, I could be wrong. I have autism, whatever, who da da hada. But still, what if I'm right?
What if you're right?
Pretty neat if we checked it out, since we tried the other one 8 bajillion million times. Since we keep doing that one over and over again, and it doesn't seem to be accurate, even though socially we can try to make it seem accurate, because the Emperor has a brand new pair of clothing on. His clothes is so beautiful. That's not his penis helicoptering through the square on square. No, he's gorgeous this time. That's my opinion of what's happening also. But once again, I have autism, so, you know. Who's more excited every day? Emmett, Lego Modi, or SpongeBob? Oh.
I'm gonna say SpongeBob.
Really? I feel like Emmett kind of has a dawning realization about things that SpongeBob never does.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Emmett realizes, like, oh, my entire life is a lie.
Yeah.
Maybe everything isn't awesome.
Right.
Whereas, like, SpongeBob maybe has, like, 3 bad days in the entire show. He's just always, I'm ready. Just every day.
Yeah, that's true. Although Emmett started from a higher place, but maybe you only have down to go to from there.
That's, yeah. Although
no, you're not
SpongeBob
coming
did
off as
also
nobody can come off as
have literally
argumentative.
the best day ever.
I just argued back at Waba. That's hilarious. I'm like, nobody can be argumentative ever, because I live in arguments. I live in formal arguments. That's how I like to live. So if I say something back to you where I'm like, well, actually, my model looks like this, I don't think of that as you being argumentative. I see you accurately presenting your model, and then I present my model, and these are all the conversations that I enjoy, are the ones where I get to do that. So you have made me happy. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well enough?
Yes?
Okay. When somebody says, here is my argument, I'm excited that they're telling me what the argument is. I'm like, yay!
A little thing that makes me happy is I have these pink and purple striped gloves, and they're like long gloves. They like go all the way up my forearms, and sometimes I don't want that much coverage on my arms. Sometimes that is not a sensory fun time. So I'll like push them up to my wrists, just so that like the hem of the glove is around my wrist. And it perfectly, when I do that, it perfectly scrunches up the length of the glove, so that all of the purple bits form these like rings around my wrist. It's very satisfying.
Argumentative to me, we are angry or upset. I don't get angry or upset at other people. I only get upset about people treating people poorly when it doesn't make sense and they won't stop. That's the only thing I get upset about. And then if the person can't stop themselves, I get upset at the people around them for not coming up with a system that like keeps this person away from hurting others. So then I just get up. I only get upset when like people refuse to like talk honestly about the problem that's happening. Then I get upset, and especially because then they can go into like ideological things, and then like they can like jump over to misogyny island and say some really messed up stuff because I'm pointing out that the emperor has no clothes. So like I don't really get upset at people like that. Let me think. I get upset when people aren't listening to me because I'm making an actual argument. Does that make sense? So then if I'm doing all this effort and they're not listening to my argument, then I'll get upset because I'm like, why am I even dealing with this person? Although I don't get super upset because I'm also still practicing making a functional argument, and I just know that this person doesn't like women probably. like usually that's the problem, but not always, but usually. So yeah, so I'm very autistic in that way. Like I don't that part of my brain I don't even have a facsimile of. Like I don't even have anything that would make me have like interpersonal issues with people like that. It just doesn't happen. Other things happen, but not that. And also it would be probably kind of good if I had a little bit more of an ability to have that, because then I could resolve things with people, and I can't do that either. Like if someone's mad at me, they're just gonna stay mad at me probably. I had someone yesterday who came into chat and was like, yeah, I told this person I love them and all this stuff, and they are in an existing relationship. Now they blocked me and I think they hate me. I ruined their image of me in my mind. What do I do? And I'm like, bro, you move on. You take an L. You learn about it in the future. Journal. Make art. Paint. Get watercolors and paint it. And then take a nap, probably. Eat veggies. Drink water. Process your emotions over it. And the person could have led them on in a weird way and all that kind of stuff. Like maybe the person was future faking them. That stuff can get really weird. But even if that person was future faking them and they were like pretty messed up, like they just learned something valuable about people who future fake, right? Like I've definitely been in a situation like that before. It was not cool. So it may not be that maybe they really were thrown for a loop and all this other stuff, but like people do weird stuff to you, and then the best thing you can do is process it, and then, you know, like not worry about it meaning something about you as a person. Like you're gonna run into people that do all kinds of weird stuff and you won't know what to do, especially the first time that you've encountered it, which like a lot of times when somebody says that, I'm like, they may be younger or they may have less experience for a variety of reasons, including being neurodivergent, and that's fine. What's wrong with that? Why should they have known that in advance? That's pretty complicated. It's okay. I have a new sweatshirt that just says "Go to therapy."
That's awesome.
Right. And they may it's hard to say. Like maybe we really don't know the full story. They may have been doing harmful things. The other person may have been setting them up. You really don't know. But like it's not the end of the world. Let me just put it that way. It's not the end of the world if that happens. It's not great. But that's not, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of hurtful things, like messing up interpersonal relationships between, like, humans. Yeah, we do that all the time. And yeah, like, it's how you recover from it that matters. And, you know, if you can find the humanity in both people, that's a big deal. But sometimes, you know, like, let's say that person processes the emotions and then tries to find the humanity. Maybe the other party would stick to a narrative that, you know, flattens out every person into, for example, like triangulation, where you have, or splitting, right? We've talked about that before, where it's like, okay, everything's all good and all bad, and here's the, and when you have 3 people like that, I bet you triangulation was happening almost without anybody meaning for it to be. But then if you have people process the emotions and try to figure out what happened, and people still try to triangulate, well, then this is an issue that goes beyond beyond any individual person. This is a complex interpersonal problem that it's better if you can just not have it. Like, if somebody insists on triangulating, get out. Oh no, it seems sus, 100%. But I'm just saying that it's like, do I think that person has like the skills to get through that in the first place? Probably not. Maybe they can acquire them. But do I think that the other people in this situation would have the skills? I can't know. I'd be slightly biased towards saying no, in that it happened at all, and that it ended up there. So, like, to get out of a problem like that, you need everybody to be willing to like be very skilled and move on and process emotions, and just kind of be like, man, humans are weird. Sorry about that. I think that's the mature response, but a lot of people would want to continue the drama going forward to create a sense of meaning in their lives, when I'm like, this isn't where to create meaning, okay? In my opinion. The meaning there is interpersonal skills are so convoluted that sometimes we don't realize we have an opportunity to work on them, and instead we just make a narrative about people being all good and all bad and etc. So, like, that would be my bias. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think you're wrong for calling them out, though. My guy, probably not best to try chasing. Admit all your love for someone who isn't in a relationship. Did you know this person? They knew her for a year, and I'm like, my guy, stop. She's made the yeah, no, absolutely, and especially like when it's a dude and a lady, the way that we're socialized and other aspects of the dynamics, that's usually going to be the worst situation. I hate to say it, it's not all equivalent. So probably he wasn't listening to her boundaries, and also probably boundaries wasn't a discussion that was ever successfully broached for some reason, and we don't know what that is. And when a guy's involved, it's often very different reasons than if it's a girl violating a boundary. But everybody can violate boundaries, so yeah, that's too bad that he left and just kind of got mad. How I would usually handle that is, like, I would actually lean into like how much life experience do you have, like how old are you, and if you're on the younger side, like you need to know that like this is a good time for you to calm down, because everything feels like an emergency the younger you are. And if something's happening for the first time and it's really scary, like that sometimes happens when you're older, but usually it's like there's a reason why it's happening that has to do with the rest of your life, or maybe your neurodevelopmental status makes it harder for you to have had exposure to some more difficult social situations, and you're just not navigating it very well, and that's fine. Again, like, why would that be bad? It's just, I think people should feel less ashamed about being confused about a complex social dynamic. Like, that's a very complex social dynamic. Yeah, as long as she blocked, then it's over. That's just like, yeah, it's just, that's just the hard limit. And it's just what it is. Everybody gets blocked sometimes. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means something there was really off, and that's okay. You can't resolve everything. I don't know. And if they're really upset about it, like, maybe they're processing something about their life that they need to process. Like, maybe it brought up some sort of like learning about how people work that they need to unpack a bit. Maybe they were ostracized or bullied or rejected or whatever, and that it would be a good time for them to challenge those thoughts. There's so many approaches is what I'm saying, but they're skills. Anyways. Alright, just a reminder to think about the ends. Don't start making plans. I'm gonna pop bubble wrap for a couple minutes. Be right back. Bubble wrap by twisting it, like especially the bigger bubbles, has this sort of like action film vibe to it. Like I feel like Buffy the Vampire Slayer breaking a whole bunch of vampire necks or something. I don't know. Man, that's satisfying. I'm gonna do that a couple more times. I'll be right back. I have 1, 2, I have a bunch. I have like 5, 6. Okay, yeah, I have 5. Okay, I'll be right back. I dropped one. Do you want to hear it? This will sound weird. Ready?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, it sounds like firecrackers.
Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more. ASMR?
I mean, yeah, people definitely pop bubble wrap for ASMR.
Okay, cool. Well, that's the stream for a minute.
It's bubble wrap, Isaac.
I have 2 more after this, and then we'll go back to HCAT. I just like that it's called HCAT. I don't care about the actual terms. HCAT sounds fun. Okay, 2 more. Also, hi, Isaac.
What a weird measurement.
What?
I took some time to sit down. I've been sitting down for too long, so I was like, well, I should do something. So I'm measuring the dictionary page prints that I got yesterday, so that I can know what frames I need to get.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay, I'm done.
8 3/16 inches by 5 1/4 inches.
Oh yeah, that is really weird. I was like, eh?
Yeah. So I'll probably just look for like, I don't know, 9 by 6.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
They look fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they have this really sort of rustic kind of look to them, and I just really love it. It's so like new age. It's got this very kind of hipster vibe to it, I guess, of just like, yeah, I'm gonna print my art on pages of the dictionary. I'm like curious about how they chose the page, because I have 197, 199, 206, 209, and 213, and they're all C words.
Interesting.
Yeah, in order, it's contact flying to continents, contralto to convent, corundum to coat,
Wait, what's corundum?
C-O-T-E. Corundum, it's a noun, a common mineral notable for its hardness.
Common, you
Transparent
say?
varieties used as gems, other varieties as abrasives.
Interesting.
And then countless to court martial, and crash to creator.
Cool.
Yeah, they're neat. I'm excited to get them framed,
Word.
which might take a while, depending on how expensive frames are.
Yeah. That's neat, though.
Just slowly acquiring more and more box items until the inevitable day where I am just surrounded by foxes on all sides.
Yay!
Okay, no more words. No more procrastinating. I'm going to start a load of laundry.
Yay! Congratulations.
I did it, or I'm doing it. I didn't do it yet.
A thing is happening.
A thing is happening.
Woo! Just think about the ends. Ends. Otherwise, your brain will go to no man's land, where everything hurts and is bad, and everyone says
Where
it'll be good.
everything hurts and it's terrible.
Yeah. Don't go there. Just don't. Just don't. Don't even try.
Don't even try. Don't even think about it. Just do.
Nope. Exactly.
There is no try, only do.
Right.
Thanks,
And
Yoda.
Yeah. All there is book and ends. Book is learning. Semantic learning. Then that's basically like, what's the word? Hang on, I wrote this down somewhere. Book is it on this one or is it in the other one? No, I don't know. No, it's in this one. Facts. Ends is events. What event do you want? What facts are there? What event do you want? What facts are there? That's it. You can also do hypothesizing, right? And then you can investigate and test as a way to jump between facts and events. And that's it. Don't do anything else. Everything else is bad. Okay. Yeah. Wait, where's my... Oh. Huh? What do I do with my laundry thing? I don't know. Is it over here? Yes. Okay. Sorry about the door. I need like WD-40 or something. Anyways, what else can I tell you? That's it. Just think about the ends. That's all. That's really all I have. I think it's very important, and I will design ways for this to get a little bit more systemized, I guess, because otherwise, like, okay, first of all, the typically developing way of making planners and stuff and plans and stuff and all that stuff will keep reasserting itself as what you're supposed to be doing. So you have to, I think, create some sort of like physical thing that supports doing it this other way, and then you can point to it and be like, hey guys, you know how you have planners? Here's this thing. So leave me alone. Trust me, you know, that sort of a thing. Just get people's input contained, and then they'll kind of like know to leave you alone. And it hopefully can like, yeah, keep people doing this process instead when there's so much feedback that you should be trying to do this other process still until you die, I assume, even though it never works. That was me being a little mad about that. It's okay. I just fixed the lawnmower. Oh wow, good job. Let's see. Yeah, it's 1:32. I'd say that this session of HCAT is going better for me. Using that thought. Yeah. Sometimes I feel reassured by noticing that I am a pretty weird person, because I always had the sense that my being a weird person was like my ticket out of shit sucking. So every now and then I'm like, man, I'm pretty weird. I'm like, oh, that's good, because that was part of my original hypothesis.
Oh, that's good. That means things are working.
Yeah, right?
Huh. Interesting. Neat. I just found my old compression gloves,
Oh, good! Okay, well that's good.
which I thought were gone forever.
You did think that. Phenomenal.
I haven't been wearing my new ones very much, because they're made of a different material that doesn't breathe as well. So they stink.
Oh no, yeah.
Because I get sweaty hands. So they stink real bad. And I kept leaving them on my bed, and just, I guess from me like moving around and stuff while I'm sleeping, they got like pressed in between my bed and the wall.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just digging them out, and that, lo and behold, that's where my other ones were. Which, like, I was pretty positive I already checked there, but I guess I didn't check deep enough. But I have them again, so that's what matters.
That is what matters. That's awesome. Congratulations. Yay.
Yeah.
Jazz is great, just saying.
Jazz is great.
So calming.
Oh,
I have this like stupid.
alright.
Sometimes
I
my
got
brain
laundry
comes.
started, found my gloves, and
yeah.
I took out the trash. Look at me go.
So you know that I come up with like lyrics to things I listen to that are jazz songs like this. So it's like, what if everything is okay? 'Cause you're listening to jazz. Like, just like, that's what I got. I was like, yeah, good question.
Meow. 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 Yes, Bastion, you are a cat. Well done. Okay, what's next? I'm just gonna walk around until a goal appears.
Yay, that's exactly it.
Aha!
There you go.
I forgot to replace the trash bag.
Perfect.
I suppose I could probably do some dishes.
Sounds fine to me.
Oh yeah, I wanted to clean the coffee machine. The clean light has been blinking for like a week.
Oh hey, it's gonna stop doing that. That's cool.
Yeah!
Woo!
I think that's probably gonna use the last of our vinegar though. Yep.
Ah! Oh, I dropped something.
Bastion, you are very talkative today. I say that as though it's a significant statement. He just talks all day, every day.
Aw.
It's mostly cute. Sometimes it drives me crazy.
Haha! Yeah, you can tell.
Sometimes I'm like, aha, I don't want to hear things with my ears. Could you not do that? And he's like, what's that? Did you say louder? I could be louder.
Oh dear. Okay. Alright.
Meow.
I keep losing the...
Sometimes I feel
That's-
like he's just like marginally upset that I'm doing things.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, what? No, this is how things have been. Stop it.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
don't like
honestly.
change.
Yeah. I could see a cat feeling that way. Sometimes Merlin doesn't like when I move things either. But like usually it's like something has sort of become like a default bed for him.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
dude.
Bastion's the same way. He's like, what? No, this is my bed now. Stop it.
Yep.
Don't take that. I'm sleeping there.
Exactly.
like I have that that extra computer chair in my room,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of takes up a lot of space, and I don't want it in there anymore. I kind of just want to take it back to the trash room where I got it.
Right.
But that's where Bastion sleeps now, so like
Eh.
I suppose that's where it shall stay.
Yeah. I have no idea where the dustbin went, or the dustpan. That's what that's called. I feel like I saw it recently too. That's what's so confusing. Is there like a second one I could do? Oh, I have a small one. That's fine. I'll use that. Interesting. Okay, that's sort of what I thought happened there. Oh, well.
Oh, that thing that I showed you yesterday.
Yeah.
I found out that it was made by somebody in Russia and then translated into English,
Oh.
and that made the whole thing make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that does. Huh. I didn't know that. I know it's been. I saw that it was translated into a lot of languages.
I think it's just translated to English. I think that's just
Really?
like
I thought I saw
yeah.
other ones listed. There was playlists I saw.
There were multiple playlists, but I think
they weren't in
that
languages?
entire channel is
Oh.
the English version
yeah.
of the channel.
Right. I think there's other versions though. That's what it looked like.
There might be. They might have done multiple translations.
Yeah, it looks like they did.
Which I don't know, it kind of makes sense within the context of like what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they're trying to sort of proselytize. So
very, very interesting.
it's weird. I watched the rest of it last night, and I don't know, it kind of peters out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a very weird little thing because it like starts out just sort of aggressive and like most of it like sort of shifts into being a little bit more compassionate and collective, like sort of collectivist in its message, and I don't know. But I mean, again, like it started like 7 years ago, and I think the last upload was like 4 years ago.
Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting guy.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess that's sort of what I appreciate it for. It's just like, oh, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like I said yesterday, I think it's kind of interesting the way that the way I can contextualize that kind of stuff has shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had watched that when it came out, like 7 years ago, I would have been like, whoa, this dude's on another level. Like, oh my gosh. And like now I'm like, yeah, all right. Like artistically, this is interesting and neat, but like, I don't think he's really saying anything that's like particularly novel or interesting. Like, because I read books.
Yep.
You know, like.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
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 Also, like, I've realized, one of the things, like, something I've realized recently, just like, sort of being a little bit more in touch with, like different like European creators and stuff, like in different countries around Europe, that like the kind of sort of like philosophical literature that is almost taken for granted over here as like being sort of highfalutin, is just like what they read in school.
Yeah.
Like they read about Marx and Engels, and they read Bertrand Russell, and they read Simone de Beauvoir and Sartre, and that's just a part of the culture over there to like read these old European philosophers.
Yeah.
And I guess I had never like fully made that connection before, that it's like not uncommon for just like the average intellectual to read that kind of stuff in other sort of Western sections of the world. I'm sure it's the same elsewhere. Like I know that in China, like there's a lot of Marxist literature that's like literally a part of the curriculum.
Yeah, they know what these words refer to in a way.
Yeah, exactly. But like, speaking broadly about like the concept of like an intellectual, which is just somebody trying to acquire knowledge, like a conservative intellectual can go in a very strange direction and sort of get involved in these really twisted ideas of I don't know, reality. And it sort of conditions them in a direction of like sort of accosting anything that opposes their ideology. And obviously it's very heavily propagandized against in this country, so that's part of it too.
Well, even people that want to advocate for some of this philosophical sort of like school don't know what they're talking about. Like,
sure,
I won't say where this was, but I was in a meeting where the question was, what is critical race theory? And people gave a definition that was wrong. I was like, it's critical theory applied to race, and critical theory is a specific philosophical approach that looks at like all of a society and its cultural artifacts and challenges the power structures in it through analysis.
Also, like I guess like maybe the term has taken on some sort of different cultural meaning in the last like
people think it means like being critical of something, like in the sense of like a definition from the dictionary.
Specifically, critical race theory is a legal theory.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's really, really like dense legal theory.
But it comes from the critical school of philosophical
yes,
thought.
it
and
comes
that's
from
why
the critical
that's the name.
school of thought. Yes.
That's why it exists. It exists because
Yes.
of all of these European philosophers who we don't know in the U.S. and the
Right.
Frankfurt School and all this stuff and post-structuralism and blah 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 blah, and Marxism and etc. Well, kind of Marxism. He's a little more economic, but still.
Right. But I mean, like, his economic theory still has a lot of like cultural implications.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Stuff like, you know.
So then, like, if you don't know that and you're just like kind of guessing at it, because that's how we learn
Yeah.
the meaning of words in America, unfortunately.
Right. And I think that's a really sort of important part of that sort of analysis, is that like we at some point along the way are broadly taught to just intuit what words mean
Yep. And
in
that
any given context.
a synonym is fine. So like even when we learn to read, there's a way of learning to read that's a big problem, where you show people pictures, and if the word is horse and they say pony, it's good. Because so that's another problem. We did that in a lot of schools, especially state supported schools. So like our public education did that, which is not good. Amongst other problems, but like, you know what I mean? Like
amongst a very, very large wealth of problems.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out like what really like is the main issue here, but we just don't know things is the outcome.
Right.
And then we make it up. And then we listen to people that make it up for like hours upon hours, and we don't notice that we happen to incidentally preferentially listen to white males.
Yeah.
It's like funny how that worked out again.
Well, and then like that's reinforced by the sort of media infrastructure that we're sort of entrenched in, that like even if you are someone that is very inclined or even specifically geared towards listening to people of other classifications, they're hard to find.
And so here's the issue. It's like it's not an issue of like, oh, you shouldn't listen to white males. If you listen to a white male and he's not putting himself in the foreground and other people in the background in order for you to know to listen to him, then there's your issue, right? So you can have people like you see what I'm saying? Like it's what the person is doing. Ultimately, what we're trying to get to is something where we're working together without these hierarchical statuses determining who's in the foreground and who's in the background.
Right, exactly.
That's it. So white males will step up inappropriately when they really should not be in the foreground and knock everyone to the background.
Yes.
That's the problem. In my opinion, in my analysis.
Yeah, no, I think that's very accurate.
Yeah. So it's like if you had somebody who's a more rule-based thinker, for example, like which some autistics are, it's like, well, what do I do then? It's like, just don't kick people into the background. Like if you're worried about what you're gonna do, like just don't like jump in front of everyone and be like, stop the play, stop the presses, stop whatever you're doing, I'm confused. Like, don't do that. Just like be confused, step back, and then when you have something
I don't know if this is an appropriate sort of comparison, but it makes me think of like sort of the whole like help me understand, and then and like marginalized groups just being like, I don't know, dude, just read a book or something, like.
Right. And if it genuinely
like, you are jumping in my way, like you are getting in my way about this, and you need to not do that.
So if they are genuinely confused, right? Here's something that is an establishment of trust. The person who's in the foreground explaining the theory, who isn't some white dude, right? You need to trust that they'll get to that. So if you're like, I'm confused about this part, just wait. And if they don't get to it, you can raise your hand and ask, and they'll probably be like, oh yeah, thanks for asking. Here's how that part works. But don't like interrupt what they're doing, showing that you're not listening in the first place, to be like, can you get to this point, please? Because your point might not even make sense. And if you just listen to them for longer, you'll know what their model is. And then you can, even if you want to challenge the model, at least you know what you're challenging.
Right.
Just be in the background a little bit and listen. Like, and if the person doesn't make sense, that's fine. There's a whole bunch of people you can listen to instead that also are coming from this perspective where you know that they've been pushed to the background most of the time. Don't be dumb. Like, I know, you know, we know. So go find some people that have been pushed to the background.
Don't be dumb. You're still nobody.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That's why I made that song.
Well, and like there's definitely like a weird sort of problem that people have with being in the background, which like I am often very confused by, because how else are you supposed to learn stuff?
Yes.
If you're constantly thrusting yourself into the foreground and like talking and just constantly engaging, like you're not listening.
Yes.
If you're talking, you're not listening, and you're not going to learn.
Right. And you start sort of making an implicit statement that you don't think you can learn from the person that's talking.
Right.
Which maybe that's true. But okay, well then use your discernment and go find someone worth listening to. And if you're saying you can't find a single person worth listening to who isn't another white dude, like,
I think maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like a non-credentialed white dude, and it's like, well, I mean, at least listen to someone who's like got a discipline that they're dedicated to. Don't listen to this generalist who's like, I'm going to comment on everything that happens ever in the world because I'm some type of god. That's weird. I'm just saying. And
that is weird.
Yeah, that's why I left the other platform, amongst other reasons. Yeah. Yeah, it's really not that hard. It's just like contribute things that are relevant to the actual topic, but not establishing who gets to be in front and who gets to be in back, or who should be in front and who should be in back. That's all. And once I understood dialectics is really better understood as foreground, background, I was like, oh, okay, I can work with dialectics now. Fine. If you start presenting dialectics as opposites, now I'm pissed at you.
Right.
I'm like, oh, dualism, you say, but...
Yeah, because it sort of presents like every idea and the entirety of the universe as a like two groups of things that are like contained, or that contain things that are diametrically opposed.
Cosmic duality.
Yeah, like that's just not how the universe works. Like, you can't just assign diametric opposites to every idea. That's just not how that works. It's absurd. Like, you can abstractly assign opposites, and I don't think that's entirely useless in all situations.
And our problem is that culture has done that a whole bunch of times, to the point that, like, we can't even observe reality. We have to observe the, like, cosmic dualities and the pairings, and then we have to be like, well, maybe everything just breaks down into yin and yang, and man and woman, and the masculine energy and the feminine energy. I'm like, please stop. Please.
Yeah.
But that keeps happening.
Yes, over and over and over and over.
And what does that really mean? Oh, males should be in the foreground most of the time because... So males should be in the foreground because something is more and something is less. So then the males should be in the foreground most of the time because that's the opposite of less. And except in we'll occasionally pretend that there's another layer of this where sometimes women are in the foreground for exactly opposite reasons at the perfect opposite time.
Yay.
Yep. So stop it. Just not do any of that, actually. Sometimes I'll get people being like, you, Jane, should be in the opposite position of having leadership and getting to talk and stuff because you have masculine energy. Or you're the perfect balance between masculine and feminine, therefore you are our savior. I've gotten that sort of feedback. That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
it
if
is.
what if
Very,
you just said,
very strange.
Jane, you're intelligent and are good at modeling things, perhaps even better than me, which is hurting my feelings. Then you don't have to be like, a cosmic being has hurt my feelings. That's why they finally hurt my feelings. Even though their parts look lady partly. They look all ladyish. God damn it. Anyways. Maybe they're hurting my feelings because it's part of the cosmic plan, so that it really matters that my feelings just got hurt. My butt hurt is part of some amazing moment happening in history that I am definitely witnessing because I am important and male. It can't be just that I made a bad model, am wrong, and feel stupid. Never.
No, certainly not.
Couldn't be that. You want to guess when the last time this happened to me was? I'd say
I don't know, 2 days ago?
probably, honestly, in a micro way, though. Smaller.
I was like, it probably didn't happen yesterday because you were with me all day, so.
Yeah. I'd
So
say
probably the day before that.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Forgot about something. But yeah.
Right, because you worked on Thursday, so that almost certainly happened.
Mm-hmm. Thursday was okay. I think the last time it would happen was some off comment. The big one was like 3 months ago-ish, when I was in that weird group thing and then ended up having to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot that even existed.
Yeah, that one was bad.
I had shunted that from my memory altogether.
You caught 21 fruit flies in your room because oh no. Well, these fruit flies are kind of not gigantic, right?
No, but they breed extremely fast.
Oh, right. They do. That's true.
Yeah. When I was living in my first apartment in Toledo, I didn't have a dishwasher, and I was living on my own. So the logical conclusion of that is my sink was just full of dishes all the time.
Right.
There was one point where I probably had an infestation of fruit flies for like a full month.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this, and
Yep.
we're glad that it works.
Yep.
Because that's awful. I don't ever want that to happen again. And it got even worse because it did get to the point where I had houseflies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to get like traps that I put all over the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got a cat,
That
so you have
was-
to make sure the cat can't get to that. And like I've had to do that with my dog too.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
was not a good time.
Yep.
I'm glad that I'm not in that stage of my life anymore. I was also really depressed.
Yeah.
So like that didn't help.
No. Yeah, no, that's cool. Isaac, just like remember, I know you have ADHD, so I think you can do more sequence learning than us. Probably, but it's probably still not so hot. So try the bookends thing. See if it helps. Just think like, what do you want? Like, you know, right before the credits roll in the movie, that's what you should think about. Even though the rest of society says, and now figure out the plan to get there. Don't do that. Just dun 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 dun, roll credits. Just that.
Yeah, depression do be like that, unfortunately. It is very frequently the kind of thing that sort of will have onset for like a while before you're like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to feel like this. But I don't know, I think it's not a fun realization to have, but it can be useful.
So
because it gives you an opportunity to like sort of introspect and be like, well, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? What can I do? And if you can't answer any of those questions, that's also helpful, because it means that you need to like sort of consult outside resources.
Explain bookends again. So bookends is referencing declarative memory instead of non-declarative memory. Declarative memory lives in one area of your brain. Non-declarative lives in a different area of your brain. If you have a typically developing brain that can switch between them, that's what you do. So you start with facts, then you move over to tasks, and you sequence those out and think about them in like a serial of steps, right? Like this, that, and you prioritize them and all this stuff, right? So you organize them, and then you keep track of what you're doing. You stay in that region while you do tasks, right? And then at the very end, you check in with the ends part, which is back to declarative memory, and then you're thinking episodically. You probably do some episodic visualizing in the beginning of this process. So when you're thinking about facts, you probably project forward using your imagination, using past experiences. So all of that is episodic memory, which is in the same region as semantic memory, which is the fact stuff. If you cannot successfully make the jump over to this non-declarative memory, which is sequential memory, then I think you have autism or another neurodivergent condition that's stopping that. So a typically developing person can go from one area to the other area, back to the other area. And I'm saying there's some people that can't, or it might be, I think some people sometimes use this bookends thing even though they have the stuff in the middle available to them, and it's another strategy. It's just, I'm saying for autistic people, it's the only functional strategy. And for maybe some other neurodivergent people, it would be a good thing. So what you're doing is you're thinking, you're staying in that region of your brain. So you're probably fluidly popping back and forth between the information that you know and the thing before the credits roll. So like, so you're probably just thinking goal, right? And facts, goal, facts, goal, facts, goal. The only way for you to understand the goal is to keep aware of the facts, right? Otherwise, the context is completely gone and it would dissolve. Right, so your memory is doing both at all times, because there's no way for you to understand like episodic memory without factual memory, semantic memory. And I think vice versa, there's no way for you to make a future episodic imagination, like a future state that resembles your episodic memory, like you're living through a past event almost as if it's happening right now, but you're doing that process with something that hasn't happened yet or that you'd like to have happen. I think in order to do that, you have to be aware of the factual universe that you live in. So you're thinking about, things that have happened and how that logic works out. And you're thinking pretty consciously, but you're not trying to organize any of this into, therefore I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm describing something that's a brain region, so it sounds like kind of woo and weird, but that's because like there may not be a really neat and tidy metaphor that I have access to, but I am describing a real process in your brain. That is probably how people get things done and set goals and stuff and achieve goals. And if you have this procedural memory or this like serial learning ability, and you have that stuff that I'm calling the stuff in the middle, what ends up happening is you know where you are because you remember the last step that you were just doing, and you can think about the next step that you want to do, and that's a different part of your brain that does that. So basically, like, don't try to think, now I do this, what was I just doing? Never. If you don't have that available to you, maybe don't try. I think for autistic people, there's a lot of interference or something's going wrong when we try to do that, and it just hurts and is bad. I can get into why I think that is, but so basically, like, if you're thinking, what was I just doing? What should I be doing next? That's a different region of your brain. Instead, you could just be thinking, like, what is this the goal? Is it done? Is it done? Like, are we there yet? Like, does this look like the end credits? No? Okay. And then just, that's it. Like, you just think, what's the thing I could do? That's it. Like, is it done? No? What's the thing I could do? That's it. Doesn't matter what you pick. It's just, it's not done. Okay, what's the thing I can do that would make it closer to done? Or more like done. Not even closer to done. Don't think moving through space. More like done. And that's my current working, hypothesis. It will get better as I understand it more. I still have like 100 papers to read. So as soon as you start asking yourself, what did I just do? What am I doing next? You're in a different region of your brain. In my approach, that doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter because you don't need to switch to that region of your brain. You can just stay in the declarative memory. If you look up non-declarative and declarative memory, you can kind of start to like look at research that I'm using. Yeah, just pick the part in front of you. And I'm saying not only just pick the part in front of you, but while you're doing that, think about the whole field being empty. And the only question you have is like, is it close? Is it closer? Is it more like empty? Not closer to. Is it more like empty if I do this? And it's like, yes, okay, then I should be doing that. That's it. Like, is it more like done using declarative memory, which is episodic, to figure out what done is, and that's all you have to figure out. And then if I do this, is this more like done? Yes, no, yes, could do it. That's your only decision. Sometimes you might have to think about it, be like, do I think this is more like done or is that more like done? And it can be a little arbitrary, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm also setting the more actionable goal of removing moldy food trash. Wait, what? Obly? Rather than cleaning the whole room. Well, so yeah, so cleaning the whole room is before. So if you clean the whole room, right? It's not cleaning the whole room. You mean cleaned the whole room, right? Like, you can't actually think cleaning the whole room. You can only think the whole room is cleaned. Like, if you really visualize it and think about it and represent it mentally, that's what you mean, right? And that is what you want. You want the whole room cleaned. Correct. Right? But so you should think removing the food trash makes right now more similar to the whole room cleaned. And not less similar. Therefore, do that. And then you don't have to leave declarative memory. Or try to. In which case, my journey is very unsuccessful and I end up on the side of the road holding my thumb out. So when you say like whole room cleaned, that is your goal. It's just that's the episodic goal. That's the goal that that's the event that you want to experience, right? Whole room cleaned. If you wanted to figure out how you're going to do it, then you need to have robust sequential memory. If you want to experience whole room getting cleaned, then you need to be able to sequence that in a way that I don't really even understand, but I think that typically developing brains can switch back and forth to as needed. So I think like you actually do want the goal whole room cleaned in your head a lot, but it's not cleaning, it's done. Which would make more sense of some neurotypical self-help books that kind of say like, imagine that it's already happened, talk as if you've already got it, the secret. Like, or maybe you're accidentally staying in declarative memory by talking to yourself that way. That could be what happened. That'd be dope if I just like figured out how the secret actually works, and then I can like rescue people from wasting time.
I mean, you can't figure out things that don't exist.
Yeah.
Also, like, really what happened with that is it's just an entire couple generations of people that don't understand what a metaphor is.
Yeah.
Like, I've never read the whole book.
I have.
But based on what I've gleaned from it, like, it's definitely not like,
yeah.
I am disinclined to make the assumption that the author intended for it to be taken literally. Because if you sort of ground the ideas in reality, it makes sense, right? Like, when you think about the thing you want, and then you do it, like, you're manifesting that thing happening.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of woo-woo craziness is like it's going to manifest exactly the way you see it in your head.
Yeah.
Which is a fantasy, but like that is more or less how perceiving reality works. You perceive that something could be, you take action to make it be, and then it be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's really not that complicated of an idea, and like if you sort of pare it down into its metaphorical concepts, like it can actually be a really valuable way to live your life.
Right, because it's episodic.
So far as like, yeah,
it's bookends
yeah,
is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah,
so yeah.
But everybody took it very literally and were like, I can use my mind powers to manifest reality. Like, all right, friendo, lay off the mushrooms.
I don't have as much issue as long as you know that you're just like hallucinating for fun.
Right, yeah, sure. But listen, you know that I've been around the folks that take it seriously, like very, very seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should do more like casual like hallucination. Like I'm calling it hallucination because like I don't know what else to call it because it's like closest to that kind of. So like if you're like, man, wouldn't it be cool? This is what I was talking about. Like what is I calling it again? Superimposition. Superimpose something to like make you feel like, man, that's more fun. I'll pretend that's happening. Like do that, but know that you're playing. You know when you're a kid and you played and you did that? Like, why stop?
Yeah. I totally forgot I had all these little bird friends.
Yay! Birds. Burbs?
Birds. I'm gonna get some tape.
Yay.
And I'm gonna put them all over my computer monitors, and they're just gonna be little friends.
Amazing.
Staring at me.
They're gonna
Just
be
being all, hey, what you doing?
That's great. All right, I'm currently doing more laundry, putting in dryer stuff.
I went down to the laundry room because the app said your laundry's almost done. I'm like, cool, I'll go get my laundry. And when I got down there, still had 5 minutes to go.
Oh.
I'm just like, that's not almost done. In what world is that almost done?
Yeah, that's not
What,
true.
you think I'm gonna stand here for 5 minutes? That's crazy. I'm not doing that.
Whoops. My nose. Ugh. I'm allergic to dust. Shit.
I'll tell you what, that's one thing that I'm
Oh, congrats.
very grateful for when it comes to my genetics. I don't seem to be allergic to anything.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Like, I still have allergies, you know, like
It's a little bit.
I have the same messed up sinuses that every other human being has, so
Right.
when I'm in the presence of lots of like dander and dust and stuff, I still
That's just normal.
have problems, but that's just because we have terrible sinuses.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sort of like jokingly use the sinuses at like definitely when I was a little bit more on the atheist side of things. I used to like jokingly use the sinuses as an argument against the existence of God.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're telling me that intelligent design came up with that?
Does seem improbable. Well, I mean, you know what the big argument there is in terms of intelligent design and putting things in bad places. Right?
You don't put a sewer next to a playground?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's what I figured. I just wasn't sure if that's where you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you don't put breathing right next to choking.
Yeah, that's not a very good idea.
Yeah.
Don't put the tube you gotta breathe through right next to the tube where you gotta put a whole bunch of stuff that you can't breathe.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah. Obstructions. Yay.
Yummy. It's my favorite thing to breathe.
Yeah. Exactly. Boop. Berlin's playing a little because he's cute.
Wait, what's wrong with the vagus nerve?
The vagus nerve? I know about the vagus nerve. Vagal
Yeah.
tone? What about it?
Isaac mentioned the vagus nerve, I'm guessing in reference to the thing that I was just saying about like disputing intelligent design with something absurd about the human body.
Like where the vagus nerve goes? Is that what we're saying?
I'm not sure. He just said the vagus nerve.
I like the vagus nerve.
Seems like a pretty useful nerve to me. I mean, maybe like its placement is a little bit not
the
great.
vagus nerve goes down from your brain under your heart, and it does a whole bunch of stuff to control your larynx. It is very well, it does a lot of things. Like the vagus nerve is
Yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
really versatile nerve.
yeah. It's I
So
wouldn't
it kind of has
yeah.
to go that way.
Gigantic nerves do multiple innervations, so it's like your femoral nerve. Look at what all the things it's trying to do, and like so the thicker the nerve, the more jobs it does. And the vagal nerve is one of your bulkier nerves, so it does multiple things at all times. So it seems kind of silly, but also it's like basically you don't want to have a whole bunch of giant nerves that have only one job, because then your body has to protect way more things from damage. So it actually does kind of make sense, like the way that our medial nerves are working. There's not that many of them, and they do many jobs, so then you don't have to protect as many things. Like, you're going to protect your neck, you're going to protect your chest, right?
I think it's also worth considering, like, even in the context of like audio video stuff, like, no matter how good you are at like playing around with cables and stuff, like, you're gonna have at least one cable that's like just not in an ideal position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got little bird friends.
And like, think about where your femoral nerve is too, right? Like some of the worst areas for you to get hurt around there are like in your junk area, which again you will be inclined to protect.
Right, but like, given the sort of general importance of that area for its biological purpose, it makes sense that like that would be there.
Yeah, that's a good
same with the femoral artery, right? Like,
yep.
You need that blood there. Does it suck that if that one spot gets nicked, you're probably dead? Sure.
Yeah.
So that just means you're going to work really hard to protect it.
Exactly. But again, that just comes from evolution, right?
Yeah.
The ones that survived were the ones that were better able to protect where those nerves ended up situated. And arteries and major vessels, we'll just say. What is the coolest thing you have found while cleaning your room? Oh God.
These birds.
I kind of know what's in my room. That's the problem. So.
Yeah, anytime I find something that I'm like, oh, cool, it's like a rediscovery, you know?
Right.
At best.
Yeah. I mean, I've cleaned stuff upstairs that I don't have a clean recollection of because I was like a child. So I found like photos that I didn't know were taken of, like, you know, my family and me and stuff as little, you know, years ago and stuff. So that's kind of cool. I like that. So yeah, I just say like photos I didn't know existed. But in my room, I don't know. Is there any? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, and I definitely can't answer that question in any like capacity at this stage in my life. Like, if I had enough recall, I could probably come up with something from like years ago, like, you know, when I was living with my mom and I stayed in the same bedroom for, you know, 10 years. I could probably come up with something that I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot this even existed, when I was like cleaning my closet or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've lived in this apartment for 9 months. Like, I don't.
And then
there's nothing that exists in this bedroom that I won't remember putting there.
Right. The only thing that like I have as an answer is really sad. Like well, yeah, like I had a diary that I couldn't find from when I first met Nick. And then I found it. So that, but then I just like bawled, but it was still nice that I had it. Oh, your cherished high school yearbook. I hope you find it. I don't know. It's sad, but it's like whatever. I mean, like it's part of my life, and I don't think we talk about stuff like that enough anyway. So, like, It's okay. And it changed me as a person in ways that are really important, and that I'm very grateful for getting to still be here to like carry that forward, like what that person was able to change about me that I think was a huge blessing. Nick is the first person who I was in love with and said the same thing back. So basically my first boyfriend, and he passed away suddenly of a heart defect that hadn't been diagnosed. So, yeah.
Where should I post these birds? Just in small talk?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
that or Merlin and Friends, depends on how alive they feel. Bubbly wrap is great. Yeah, I don't mind getting to it. I mean, yes, it is super traumatic, but I don't mind getting to talk about it because it makes sense then. Like, I probably make a little bit more sense because of how much it's impacted me, because obviously. So there's that, and also like he was a really great person, and I don't mind people knowing that he existed. Like, I'd rather they did.
I like that with one of them, when I like sort of pressed down on the head bit to like kind of bring the head down, I like kind of like furrowed the brow.
Aww. Isn't it cute how they get weird little
These
expressions like that? You're like, well, that's just perfect.
He's a little bit angy. I love these little guys.
They're all
fantastic.
like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, what are you doing?
Fantastic. Well, that's just a gift.
Yay.
Something wonderful I get to look at every day.
Amazing. Hooray.
Okay, I'm gonna go change out my laundry.
Okay, I'm putting laundry away.
Hooray!
I feel bad. I put Merlin's toy far away from him, and I feel bad that I did that. Where'd he go? Is he sad looking now? Okay, I don't see him, so he probably just laid down. He's like, my mom's no fun. Yeah, he just laid down. Right. Jane, do you know what the semantic space of a word is? Possibly? Hold on. Maybe in other terms. Semantic space theory. Semantic space is described by its dimensionality or the number of distinct meanings of experiences or expressions within the space. The conceptualization of these meanings in terms... Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah, I've seen semantic mapping before. Semantic spaces in the natural language domain aim to create representations of natural language that are capable of capturing meanings. The original motivation for semantic spaces stems from two core challenges of natural language: vocabulary mismatch and ambiguity of natural language. I'm curious. Hold on. Analogies. It sorta seems different than what I'm looking at. Natural language, latent semantic analysis. So, hold on. I'm reading. Hyperspace analog to language. I guess it was a novel non-machine learning based approach that represented words in the form of vectors with 100,000 dimensions where each dimension represents an article in Wikipedia. However, practical application of the approach are limited due to the large number of required dimensions of vectors. Hold on. This seems too tangential. Possibly, but let's look at latent semantic analysis. Perhaps the most popular of these models is latent. Documents. Oh, here context is interpreted as document, and only words or word phrases are considered as items in memory. Okay, so here's where it gets into memory. Each cell in the matrix is then transformed according to the equation. Yay, it's formalized. Probability. Okay, so if it's a probability thing, I tend to be like, okay, that's probably cool. Hold on, I'm reading. So, for example, cat and dog may never appear together in the same context, so their close semantic relationship may not be well captured by LSA's original matrix M. However, by performing the SVD and reducing the number of dimensions in the matrix, the context vectors of cat and dog, which would be very similar, would migrate toward one another and perhaps merge, thus allowing cat and dog to act as retrieval cues for each other, even though they may never have co-occurred. The semantic relatedness of items. The degree of semantic relatedness of items in memory is given by the cosine of the angle between the items. This is because they formalized it. Items context vectors, ranging from 1 for perfect synonyms to 0 for no relationship. Oh, there really aren't. I don't love perfect synonyms as a thing. Essentially, then, two words are closely semantically related if they appear in similar types of documents or contexts. Okay. That doesn't seem to be that helpful. I'm sure people that are looking at like semantic memory are talking about this because like that falls under statistical models. So there's network models, feature models, associative models, statistical models. So yeah, it would be nested under models that are relevant to semantic memory, but it seems like it's kind of a branching off. It hasn't come up for me, even though I'm familiar with, like, I've seen these maps of semantic concepts, like, represented visually, although I think that's something different even still. Now that I'm looking at this, like, it doesn't seem like... Although, is that the one that I've seen before? Yeah, no, I've seen this. There's like a website that you can click on it, but I thought they did it with emotions. Like, this shit looks like this. Here, let me pull it up here. I thought there was like a website. Am I crazy? I'm looking for this one. Because I thought this was the interactive website, but I thought it also had like emotion concepts or something. I don't know. That's just gonna take me here, but I don't want to be there. When? Yeah, emotion researcher. Yeah, this is they've applied this to emotions. This is the one I've seen before. So yes, I have been exposed to it. No, I cannot find a reference to it for some stupid reason. but also I got exposed to it for a totally different reason. Poopy. Here, mapping emotion. This thing. Please take me to the stupid website. Okay, well this isn't working. Oh, Tokipona, I know it has the range of possible meanings of interesting. Yeah, it's not... Reload. Do I not have interweb? What's going on? That's a video. It's not what I want. I mean, I'll look at this too. Where's the, like, emotion thing? So yes, I'm familiar with some version of this that got into emotions. No, it hasn't come up when looking at semantic memory. And the end. Oh, maps. Maybe it's here? Yeah, this shit. I've been on this. Emotional experiences. Yeah, there we go. I've been to this thing before. And then, yeah. Warning, some of them are... Yeah, I've messed around with this before. So this is like calm, this is awe. And then they show videos that like experience awe or something. Adoration, and they cluster them around these. Awkwardness. Yeah, so I've been here before. I'll dump this in the... So this is my reference to it. I do not know more. I hope this was interesting. Oh no, it's fine. Hello, Glenn! You didn't sidetrack me. You asked me a question that I had some reference to, and I needed to explain to you exactly how I knew what I knew, and prove that I knew what I knew, because my society treats me like shit for being a girl. I'm fine. Also, I enjoyed sharing that, but also, yes, I went a little bit hard in the paint because I needed people to believe me that I actually sit down and learn things. God damn it. Anyways, that's not your fault. I'm good! Actually, how am I? So, I've started translating that into other things. If I had to answer, like, are things feeling in a overall positive direction currently, I would say they are. Although I'm working on so many theories about how our brains work as autistic people, and most of my joy comes from those theories leading to tangible improvements. So I believe my theories are leading to tangible improvements so far that indicate it's possible that they will continue to lead to further tangible improvements, and then I can help people on the spectrum and other people who are not spectrum but have similar support needs to have better lives. Including myself, because but also my friends, and also just people. So something like that. Is your day and current state in a general positive direction? Does it feel oriented towards pleasant, good things? Also, Isaac, are you familiar with it? Because Toki Pona is trying to create, like, for example, with that emotion map, generic terms that are maximally applicable to different cultures while not leaving out stuff. Are they aiming for efficiency? And that's why they started to look at that theory, is my guess. They're trying to look at theories that may have, you know, catalog the information they would need to determine that sort of efficiency. Am I right? I like being right. I think when people ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to start saying I'm autistic. I love it. Do it. Yes. Not really, but doing a little better. I prefer, yeah, that's good to know that a little better is good. Tons of health stuff, but hanging in there. You know, I've heard of autistic health stuff called all the things, like ATT, that we all have all the things. And there's a really good, let me see if I can like dump this podcast. Well, it's a YouTube video that I found recently that I really, really appreciated, that I think you might like. Glenn, let me get that. It's gonna take me a second to find it. I wanted to finish watching it anyway, so. But yeah, I think you will appreciate it. I found it pretty nice to get to read. Where are we? History. This thing. This is apparently part 2. I guess there's a part 1 that I need to watch too. So this is Awe Academy, Educators of Autistic Experience. Pretty fun. Yeah, they're pretty neat. Yes, I switched to YouTube. Oh, I love it so much more. Let's see. Isaac says, no, it's because the individual words in Tokipona have strangely broad meanings. When learning a word in Spanish, for example, you usually just have to learn, like, this means chair and you're done. Let me see. Diabetes, bladder possible, prostate stuff in last week, hurt back, so... Yeah, I feel that. I think they mentioned diabetes a little bit too in that YouTube video that I linked, I'm pretty sure. In Tokipona, because we have so few words, it will take longer to learn the detailed meaning of each word. Interesting. So we say that each word has a wide semantic space, a broad range of possible meanings. Oh, I see. Interesting. Huh. And one speaker in particular really likes pondering and writing about the semantic spaces of the words. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what their background is. Were they, like, how did they situate that theory? I wonder. But yeah, YouTube's better. Gamer culture, gamer whatever norms were not helpful. They were really what's the word? Like, they were really, I mean, distracting is one way I could say it, but they were like just too like oppositional to what I'm trying to do. They were just in the way. Directly in the way. So I'm getting so much more done now. Like, it's just, yeah, invaluable. have everything except tax money. All the things.
You do my taxes.
Yeah. I need to do
I
mine.
wasn't going to do taxes because I hardly made any money last year.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my mom a couple of weeks ago, and she pointed out that because I was on unemployment for so much of the year, I might actually get like paid money, which I didn't really understand the logic of, but like my mom is money savvy.
That's sort of how I go with like taxes and all that stuff. Like I'll just listen to what people say. I'm like, I believe you. I don't know.
I'm
Also,
just like, hey, you know money, mom. I trust you. I'll do the thing you say.
yeah, it's like you love me. Sure.
Yeah, so I keep forgetting to do it. I don't know where I put my my W-2, so I gotta find that. And then yeah, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get some money, which is the thing I'm desperately in need of these days. I mean, always, but like especially now.
Also, just to respond to Glenn, yeah, you don't have to be active on any regular basis whatsoever. Like the big thing about the autism peer support space is like that is never ever 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 a problem. Like do what makes sense to you, and this space will continue to evolve. Like I'm very committed to it. So whenever you stop by, like great, glad to have you here.
Yep. There is never any obligation.
Yes, exactly. In fact, sometimes it's nice when people don't come by too often because I'm working on these tools all the time. So then then you can actually give pretty cool feedback if the tool is now more functional or helpful. See? So that's actually pretty cool that's the pace of autistics as well. Okay. All right. Okay, so is my space closer to done? Yes. Or not closer. I can't. Closer is spatial. Screw that. No. No. Visual spatial, no. Is my space, are my spaces more similar to done? Yes. This is more similar to dun da 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 roll credits than it was by a lot. Therefore, good. Yeah. Housekeep-a-thon is a play on housekeeping, which is one of the activities, well, it's one of the instrumental activities of daily living from occupational therapy. So the Death Shaft acronym was taken from occupational therapy. We added bombs, but Death Shaft is the acronym to go over activities of daily living, instrumental activities of daily living, which are some of the support needs of people on the spectrum, right? So housekeeping is what they use in that model to refer to just space management is what I like to call it, because there's time management. Why isn't there space management? And also like housekeeping would be like this idea that like if you don't do it, you might get labeled with hoarding disorder or something, whatever this thing is. And I started calling it Housekeep-a-thon because I needed to do this a lot at first, and I was just doing it all the time, and then it just was funny. So it became Housekeep-a-thon, and I like how HCAT sounds. So it just sort of like emerged that way, but the housekeeping itself refers to one of the terms from occupational therapy to go over slightly more complex daily living skills that people need to be independent. Yeah, it's been great. Is your name filled at the courthouse as a business, and is all your stream stuff tax free? Is your name filled at the what? Is all your stream stuff tax free? No, I don't think so. Filed at the courthouse. Is your name filed at the court? You mean like Jane the Message? As a business? Should it be? Should it be? Am I a business? What? Am I a corporation? If corporations become people somehow, maybe I can become a corporation. I usually stream this one. I always stream Sundays 12 to 3. So if you want to do Housekeep-a-thon, it's 12 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. This is the one that I'm the most consistent about. I'm trying to still the same schedule that I did from Twitch, where I do 8 to 9:30 in the mornings. That hasn't happened so much recently, but also like the transition was a little bit recent, and then the time zone change happened. So this past week I've been sleeping. Time zone. Sorry. I keep doing that. Time. Daylight savings time. What is that? The time change. I guess just the time change.
It's called daylight savings time.
Yeah. But I'm supposed to do 8 to 9:30 weekdays, and it's all Pacific Standard Time. So AM for that, and then Sunday I do 12 to 3. Sunday I'll always be here. If HCAT is helpful to you, we're here. We're almost winding up this one. We're wrapping it up, as it were. Just doing a couple last thingies. Yeah, spring forward. You're on PST? Fire. I kind of should have known that, probably. I forget. I think it's like $15 to buy the name. Really? Oh shoot, maybe I'm supposed to do that. Okay, well then I will figure that out. Rest of the time is good for you? Yes, please come through. If I have people, ready to work on this with me, it obviously makes it that much easier for me to actually do it also. Then I'm doing the thing I want to do, which is peer support instead of Jane supports herself. Which is okay.
Which is also good, but not the point.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a fashion question.
Woohoo!
So I found this cool hoodie, but it's like I kind of don't want the actual hoodie.
Okay.
Like it's got like a character design on it that I don't really care for too much. Like it's not bad. I don't think I would necessarily wear this, but it's got this like cut shoulder sort of thing. I just DM'd it to you.
Let me look. Okay. Hold on.
And I wanted to ask you if there was like a specific sort of term
Oh.
for that kind of thing where like
yeah,
the shoulders are sort of like a cutout gap, and then like I guess like the sort of neckline area is actually sewed into like the bottom part of the sweater.
Right.
So I really like this silhouette. I feel like I'd really want to wear a hoodie like this, but I don't want this one.
Yeah. I've seen this style before and a lot plainer. Let me try to figure this out. Hold up. Let's try off-shoulder hoodie. I'm gonna start with that. And then, yeah, do off-shoulder hoodie, and you might get a couple things that are similar. And then you might have to keep looking from there. but I think that's what you will want to start off with. Or at least, like, I would try that.
Yeah, because this is more like the sort of wide neck that is meant to like hang off the shoulder.
Right. Well, like, here's like a sheen thing. If you search this, I think you're gonna end up, like, even Google image search this one, maybe. It doesn't, I mean, it's maybe a little different, but that, because what I ended up doing, because I wasn't sure either, I just
Maybe
Google
cold shoulder.
two-tone.
That's what yeah, because that's what this is.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe
cold.
like the two-tone. Well, I'm gonna try cold shoulder and see what
Yeah.
that gets me.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, that's a good starting point. That'll.
Okay, rad.
Yeah, that's what it is. Cold shoulder.
There we go.
Yeah, we did it. Thanks.
Yay. I helped.
You
Yeah, they
helped.
usually do come up with terms for a lot of these. That one's a little more, like, I wasn't really sure, but
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit more niche,
yeah.
but it's a cool style. I mean, the one that you sent me is actually quite nice. I like that.
Yeah. See, there we go.
Can I get it in a different color? Because I don't like that gray. No? Okay.
There's probably other colors. I mean,
Probably.
yeah. You found it?
No, but I found a like a crop hoodie that's like those that crop hoodie thing we found on Etsy
Yeah.
forever ago.
Yeah. Tight.
Yeah. Because that dude's shop is still closed.
Aw.
At this point, I've just assumed he's probably not coming back.
Yeah, that's okay. COVID times.
Yeah.
They made
Yeah.
life hard. Yeah. Hopefully they're well.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, who knows? Maybe they found like a legit like designing gig.
Hell yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I hope that's what happened.
Me too. All right. Well, I'd say with what I would consider perfect timing, my noodles are done.
Great. And then I think this whole thing is done. We're gonna stop
Yep.
streaming now. Thank you for coming.
Mhm.
If this is helpful to anybody, you can tell a friend and see if it helps them too. What else? Anything else to end this that we should say?
I'm not so good at the whole signing off thing.
Right. No. I don't think I am either.
Love your neighbor.
Yeah, that's right. Like, be cool with your neighbor. Be neighborly. What if we all acted like neighbors? Or some.
Just remember to channel your inner Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers Neato guy. Alright,
He's a
folks.
good dude.
Good dude. Good job, everybody. I'll see you later. Tell people who might like this thing, or else this will never grow. Also, I had this totally set up wrong the whole time. I'm sorry. Oh well. It's fine.
Oh,
Okay.
what, chat?
Yeah, chat looked terrible the entire time.
Eh.
It's cool. What if I did this? Is that the problem? No. Probably not. Okay.
I think it's that the emoji box is like open.
Oh.
So it like pushed everything up.
Oh, how do I close it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, you're right.
Now there's two.
What? You know what? I'm just gonna end the stream now.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
that's fair. Bye, everyone.